Shalom, giving all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Hashem, Yahushua, Hashem, HaKadosh, double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. Sincere shalom to all you Arkim who are pushing this word around the globe in faith and in truth and in sincerity. As always, I start by saying that we are the real Hebrew Israelites, the true Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Hispanics, Native Americans, West Indians, West Africans, predominantly. But this also applies to anybody who may look like any of the other nations. But if your seed line goes back by your father to the man in the Bible whose name Israel, then you too are an Israelite, no matter what you look like, because this is about your seed line, and your nationality is determined by who your fathers were, not by your mother's, by your father's line. If you'd like to learn more about that, just Google GMS 12 tribe sign. So, continuing on with the lesson I just did, this is, I suppose, a part 2. This is the article that's been published today. It says, from BBC News, LGBT teaching row, Birmingham primary school protests permanently banned. Protests have continued outside an exclusion zone at Anderson Park Primary School. Now look at the things that these people are holding, the signs that they're saying. Let our children down. Stop in... I can't read that, it's too small. Let children be children. No SRE, no SRE. What about our human right parents? Let's work together, not against each other. Yeah, how evil these people are for asking for, cooperation and working together. But, this is bullshit from Esau, man. It says demonstrations against LGBT having inclusive education have been permanently banned outside a primary school. A higher court judge ruled in favour of an exclusion zone to remain around Anderson Park in Birmingham, which has been targeted by protesters for months. The protests have had an adverse effect on pupils, residents and staff, leading to 21 teachers being treated for stress, Mr. Justice Warby said. Campaigners accused the city council of trying to silence debate. Protesters were banned from the school gates in June. My child, my choice, it says. The protests at the school in Basel Hill aimed to stop LGBT relationships education, with many parents and activists claiming it contradicts their Islamic faith and is not age appropriate. The LGBT teaching I explained, blah blah, maybe I'll go into that later, I don't know. October's 5-day hearing at the city's priory courts heard that there were further untrue and harmful allegations made about the school on social media, and how a visiting imam had claimed to parents there were paedophiles inside the school. Now that wouldn't surprise me at all, because there are paedophiles in a lot of these schools. Even when I was a kid, man, I wasn't a kid so lucky I was a child. Even when I was a child, I see some weirdos, man, and you think, you know what, man, I don't want this dude around me. But thankfully nothing ever happened to me in that sense, but they're just some unsavory characters, man. Anyway, other claims included that the school had a paedophile agenda and staff were teaching children how to masturbate. None of this is true, Mr. Warby said as he handed down the ban at Birmingham Civil Justice Centre. None of the defendants have suggested it was true, and the council has proved it is not true. The lessons had been misrepresented by parents, he said, adding the school does not promote homosexuality and seeks to weave the language of equality into everyday school life. That's indoctrination. Since June, protesters have gathered just outside the exclusion zone. In the hearing last month, the City Council argued an interim injunction should be extended beyond the school gates and made permanent. Birmingham City Council said that the noisy protests at the school gates were disrupting lessons and meant that children were unable to use the playground. The council maintained the court action was in response to campaigners' behaviour, not the issue of the protests. Head teacher Sarah Hewitt-Clarkson said staff would be over the moon. Now this woman's a witch, man. I can see straight up that this woman's a witch. And again, you got witches working all up in the education system. When I was a child, there were bare witches working at my school. And I say that in all sincerity because all they would push is these witchcraft books on children, like from Meghan Mogg to Wizard Dora, this other one called Pongwifty. It's a fucking folly, man. All about witchcraft and bullshit. And I remember I was thinking to myself, why they keep having things about witches, man? The Worst Witch was another one. Grot Bags and Emu. This is going back, man. There's always witchcraft in this shit. And obviously, this is before I knew the scriptures as well as I do now, where the scriptures say, "Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live." But if you just look at it, what's happened now, the biggest children's book is Harry Potter. J.K. Rowling's a witch, and it's all about witchcraft, and it's all being taught in this education system. See, the education system is nothing but demonic, man. And these people aren't here to help your kids; they're here to destroy your children. Again, so like I hate to say that word, kids, man. But the whole point is that these people aren't set up to help you. They're set up to destroy you and your family and your children and your future, and bring everybody in line with Esau's New World Order agenda, which is to have everybody be a bugged out satanic individualist who doesn't know how to have a true community, how to have a true family, how to build up their nation. All they know is, oh, I need to get a job. So therefore, they bust their ass at school, bust their ass at college, bust their ass at university, take out loans that they can't pay. Then they're even more of a debt slave to Esau and his system. And they're going to spend the next 45 years of their life, maybe even 50, years of their life, because now the retirement age is like 70 or whatever, or 75. They're going to spend the rest of their life paying back into Esau's system, which allows these elites, these banking families such as your Rothschilds and your Rockefellers and your whoever else, allow them to live fat off the profits of these people's slave labour. It's fucking disgusting, man. And it's about time people wake up to this shit, man. Anyway, let's keep going. It says, head teacher Sarah Hewitt Clarkson said staff would be over the moon. The prior injunction named lead protester Shakil Afsar, who does not have children at the school, his sister Rosina and Amir Ahmed, all of whom consented the need for a legal injunction. Mr. Justice Warby directed that the three named defendants should be liable to 80% of those costs which the court heard have yet to be calculated. The judge said the reason the award was not fully... let me start again. The judge said the reason the award was not in full was because of part of the council's claim for an injunction on the making of abusive social media posts against teachers had been unsuccessful. Teaching at the school has been grossly misrepresented, Mr. Warby said. Speaking after the ruling, head teacher Sarah Hewitt Clarkson said staff would be over the moon. We knew it was misrepresented, and that was the frustration when you're trying to go... let me slow down, man. We knew it was misrepresented, and that was the frustration when you are trying to go about your daily business as educators, and when people say things about you that are not true, it's very difficult, she said. It has been awful, but my staff are unbelievable, and parents are unbelievable, and the children of Anderson Park are incredible human beings, and we are a strong school, and every single person is part of that strength. What is in the books that Parkfield parents are protesting about? Let me play this.
Hello, are you sitting comfortably? Once upon a time, there was a sausage dog in a stripy scarf, 2 penguins with their chick, and there was a boy fascinated with mermaids. Taught Tango how to sing for them when she was happy.
No, this is not a book review. Those are just some of the types of books available to children taking part in the No Outsiders lessons that some parents are angry about. So what's in these books?
But wait, look closer. Can you see? One dog behaving differently.
This was about a sausage dog in a stripy scarf who struggles to fit in and travels the world looking for her place. An example of a lesson plan for this book includes kids drawing dogs, seeing how they're different, and talking about it. This one's about a little boy who sees 3 women dressed as mermaids and decides that he would also like to get dressed up as a mermaid. The No Outsiders programme was created in 2014 by Andrew Mufford, who's the assistant head teacher at Parkville Community School in Birmingham. The aim of the programme is to help children of primary school age to foster good relationships with people who have similar or different characteristics. Parents are protesting at Mr. Moffat's school because they say that the teaching is of LGBT topics. Look at this one next.
Roy and Silo taught Tango how to sing for them when she was hungry. They fed her food from their beaks. They snuggled her in their nest at night. Tango was the very first penguin in the zoo to have 2 daddies.
The book is based on the true story of 2 male penguins who raise a penguin chick together at a New York zoo. Some parents say that children shouldn't be taught about being gay or gender identity because of their religious equality. Sexual orientation, religion, and sex are all protected under the same law. That's the Equality Act 2010. Schools have a duty under the Act to teach kids British values as a way of reducing radicalisation and bullying.
Swimmer, sailor, soldier.
Reducing radicalisation and bullying when they're doing nothing but that. They're radicalising the children and they're bullying the parents. How ironic. And if you notice, they've got women to read these stories because there's something about women's voices that is a bit more like people are more sensitive to the cry of a woman. Like, you know, if you hear a man shouting, help, help, and then you heard a woman shouting, help, help, naturally you're kind of psychologically hardwired to want to help the woman. I mean, you want to help the guy too, but there's something about the cry of a woman which is a bit more, sounds a bit more desperate. So they've used these female actors here to read these stories because it paints these stories in a more sympathetic light. I mean, another great example of when they do this is if you watch interviews with foreign leaders who speak another language, what you often notice is that they'll choose a very effeminate voice for these foreign leaders. For example, if you're watching Vladimir Putin or Assad, is it the head of Syria, Assad? I can't remember. But I've seen these things and they've got these guys talking and they'll use a very weak, effeminate sounding voice for these foreign leaders to make them sound less masculine, therefore less threatening. You know, so Esau's are always up to his psychological tricks, man. But let's get back to this and close this lesson out, man.
Scout. They all blend in. No dog stands out.
Oh, that's done, yeah. So it says Birmingham City Council said it was really pleased with Mr. Warby's decision. This was always about protecting the school and community from the escalating levels of antisocial behaviour of the protests. Dr. Tim O'Neill and the Council's Director of Education Skills said, Birmingham is diverse and inclusive. These are its strengths, and we must all come together to ensure all children get the best education possible. He said fringe elements had been attracted to the protests with the aim of stoking division and hatred. Well, hang on a minute, it says say no to the sexualisation of children. How is that so wrong? A Christian campaigner, John Allman from the Oakhampton in Devon, had also opposed the exclusion zone, claiming it limited public protest. Meanwhile, Mr. Afsar had claimed the weekly protests were peaceful despite the use of megaphones and sound-boosting PA systems. The National Association of Head Teachers, NAHT, which has supported the school, welcomed the end to the noisy and aggressive protests. The judgment makes it abundantly clear that the school gate is no place to hold a protest, the spokesperson said. It was welcomed by the Department for Education, which had previously faced criticism for a perceived lack of support for the school, but said it wants to encourage positive dialogue. Alright, so this has been going on for quite a while now, and if these people have any sense, they won't stop, because if it were up to me, I'd say, you know what, fuck the school. Let's take our children out. And then completely just keep the kids at home. Because if every parent in that school decided to do that, what could the government do? What could the government do, really? If every parent of every child in that school said no, Again, this shows you the weakness of these people, man, because everybody's a pussy in this fucking society, man. Everybody's scared. Everybody's, "Ooh," people are just weak, man. It makes me sick. But let's get some scriptures and get some edification. So the scriptures say, "Woe to them that decree unrighteous decrees." Let me see if I can find that quickly. Yeah, I can find that quickly. Isaiah 10 and 1. Well, hang on, what did I just have there? Let's see if this is edifying. It says, yeah, it is. Proverbs 22 and 6. It says, "Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it." And that's exactly why they're pushing LGBTQ in schools, because they want to get the children indoctrinated as early as possible. So therefore the children aren't very able to resist the indoctrination because they're weak and they're young. So it says, "Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, and they which write grievousness which they have prescribed, to turn aside the needy from judgment, and to take away the right from the poor of my people, that widows may be their prey, and that they may rob the fatherless." Yeah? Now they're robbing the fatherless, because I want to bring something out here. Let me get this etymology here and show you what these schools really think about your children. Because if you notice it, over here in the UK at least, they always refer to the they always refer to the children in their schools as pupils. Now, what does the word pupil actually mean? Let's look it up. It says pupil, student, late 14th century, originally orphan child, ward. You see that? The word pupil actually means an orphan child. Yeah? Now that's what they call these children in these schools. So that shows you how these devils see your children. They view your children as orphans. So therefore the state has control of them. The government has control of them. The schools have control of them. And you don't, your children are not your children anymore. And that goes back to a curse that was put upon Israel in Deuteronomy 28. Let me get that. But now this curse is falling upon all you other nations. 28 and 16 on down. Let's go. Let me start from Deuteronomy 20 and 15. "But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of Yahweh thy power, to observe, to do all his commandments and his statutes which I command thee this day, then all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee." Let me just find the one I want. Yeah. Deuteronomy 28 and 32. "Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and thine eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in thy hands." Now that was originally talking about when we was in chattel slavery, and Esau would sell the mother to one plantation owner, sell the children to another plantation owner. So you basically split apart the families. But this also applies to these modern days where you're forced to send your children away every day, 5 days a week, to these indoctrination centers, rather than you having power over your own children and your own family and educating them in the way that is right according to the laws, statutes and commandments of the Holy Bible. Now that was a curse that was placed upon Israel, but now the curses are slowly starting to fall upon all you other nations. So now you're all feeling the brunt of Esau's wickedness. So let's get some more edification out. What can I say? We've got just for edification's sake, Leviticus 20:13. "If a man lie also with mankind as he lieth with a woman, both of them have committed an abomination. They shall surely be put to death, and their blood shall be upon them." Let me get Leviticus 18 and 20. No, that's not what I want. 1960. It's like I'm just looking for scripture here. Yeah, 18 and 22, Slakia, that's what I wanted. Thou shalt not lie with mankind as with womankind, it is abomination. Yep. Then we get Deuteronomy chapter 22 and verse 5. It says, the woman shall not wear that which pertaineth unto a man, neither shall a man put on a woman's garment, for all that do so are an abomination unto Yahweh thy power. Yep. And this school's trying to teach about, transgender boys dressing up as boys wanting to dress up as a mermaid and all this kind of stuff. Madness and confusion, man. Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live. Let me get that one. This is Exodus chapter 22 and 18. It says quite clearly, thou shalt not suffer a witch to live. Point blank period. So as I said, a lot of these female teachers in these schools are straight up witches. And the whole education system has been based upon Satanism since its inception. But it's just like, at first they were able to hide it for many, many years. But as we're coming closer to the end of this thing, the Most High is lifting up Esau's skirt, and his wickedness is being exposed and it's being revealed. Now, I wouldn't be surprised personally if this doesn't erupt into something much bigger, because there's only so far that these people are going to be pushed before people start rising up, and that's when you're going to get into the time of Jacob's trouble, because you're going to have civil unrest and all kinds of chaos. And these incidents are laying these small seeds for that to take place, because ultimately this is all the plan of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. So while Esau may think he's getting away with his agenda, he isn't, because the scriptures say that the deceived and the deceiver are his. So Yahweh is basically pulling the strings behind all of this shit. Let me get that scripture and close out on that. Hold on, let me just find that scripture. Yeah, this is Job 12 and 16. Let me get that. It says, with him is strength and wisdom, and the deceived and the deceiver are his. He leadeth counselors away spoiled, and maketh the judges fools. He looseth the bond of kings, and girdeth their loins with a girdle. He leadeth princes away spoiled, and I overthrow the mighty. He removeth away the speech of the trusty, and take away the understanding of the aged. So, basically, Esau can't do anything against the truth, but for the truth. So, Lord willing, that has been an edifying lesson. With that, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai Salakia. If you look at the time in the top left corner, it's 1444. Spiritual. Giving all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai B'Shem HaKadosh. Double honesty, others and the apostles of great millstone who rule well, and a sincere shalom to you, arguing you, pushing this word around the globe in faith and in truth and in sincerity. Until the next time I'm able to do a lesson, I say shalom.